Thank you, Heidi, and thank you so much to Pizzi for having me here tonight. As Heidi said, my name is Sarah Thompson, and I work for the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services as the Supported Decision-Making Community Resource Consultant. So that's a lot of words to say that essentially my job is to help Virginians understand that they have the right to make decisions on their own and to help ensure that they have the tools needed to be able to do that. So again, thank you all for having me here this evening. I know Heidi had emailed out a couple of forms that we will be going over tonight. If for some reason you didn't get those forms, I have put attachments in the chat box for you. It's the same document. It's just a matter of whether or not you want a fillable PDF or a Word document. But that is what we will be going over this evening. So let's just do a quick review of what we are going to cover in tonight's session. So the first thing we are going to look at is what is supported decision-making and what are supported decision-making agreements. We'll give some definitions and some more details about those. And then we're going to meet Sam. And Sam is who we will be talking about throughout this whole series. So you will meet Sam every week if you join us every week. And tonight we are going to look at the first discovery tool, which is what kind of support do I want? We will look at Sam's discovery tool, see how he filled it out. And as we go through his, you will have the opportunity to fill out your own what kind of support do I want discovery tool. Then I've got a few resources I want to share with you guys, and we will have time for question and answers. So let's first look at what is supported decision-making. So the biggest thing to take note about is that everyone receives supports with making decisions. This is not just something that people with disabilities get help with. However, people with disabilities a lot of the times are able to live independent lives and make important decisions through the use of supported decision-making. The American Bar Association defines supported decision-making as a decision-making model in which an individual makes decisions with the support of trusted individuals or people that know them well. It is the expectation in Virginia and really everywhere that people with developmental disabilities have the opportunity to exercise maximum self-determination. And what that means is that you have the ability to the greatest extent possible to make decisions about your life and take a lead and active role in how you want your life to go. The next piece is that people should receive supports with making decisions in the least restrictive manner possible. So what we mean by that is that if you need help making decisions, people should try options like supported decision-making, where you still keep your own rights and make the final decision before doing things that might restrict your rights or take away your rights, things like legal guardianship. And then the third piece is that people have the opportunity to identify who they want to help them make decisions and how. So you should be able to say, I want this person and this person to help me make a decision, and this is how I like people to help me, versus someone telling you that person's going to help you and this is how they're going to help you. Supported decision-making can be done informally or formally. So what I mean by this is informally, if you're just talking to somebody and you're like, hey, I have a big decision to make. I need to decide, am I going to go to school for another year? Or am I going to look at maybe doing something different, like, training for a job? Just that conversation with somebody you trust is an informal way of doing supported decision-making. The formal version of supported decision-making is the actual supported decision-making agreement. It's where you formally write down, you document what kinds of things you want help with, how you want to receive that help, and who you want to help you. In Virginia, we have 4 principles for supported decision making. These 4 things are something that we should all keep in mind when it comes to this idea of supported decision making. So the first thing is that every individual should be presumed to have capacity to make decisions on his or her own. So what that means is actually legally in Virginia, everyone who's 18 years or older has the legal right to make decisions on their own unless a court says they can't. That's that presumed capacity. We assume that you can make those decisions on your own unless a judge has reviewed some paperwork and some tests and said that you can't. The second one is similar to what we looked at on the previous slide, but when somebody needs assistance with making decisions, again, that least restrictive option should be explored. The big point in this is that it maximizes people's autonomy and independence and that self-determination piece. The third piece is that supporters, guardians, substitute decision makers, and anyone else who is helping somebody make a decision should look at what the person wants when it comes to making that decision. So they need to take into advice as far as what the person's preference is and what they've expressed they want. And then this fourth piece is this idea of dignity of risk. We all sometimes make some mistakes, and that's okay, but that's all part of learning. And making good decisions takes practice and takes time. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes we make those poor decisions, but that's this idea of dignity of risk. And making those poor decisions should not mean that we have to take away somebody's rights or their ability to make decisions. Again, we've all made poor decisions and we've all learned from them, and anybody who might have a disability should have that same opportunity. So one of the questions I've gotten before is, what does supported decision-making look like? So really, when we're talking about supported decision-making, it is having these conversations between you and the people you trust. Those people should learn and understand how you understand information, how you learn, how you understand what people are trying to communicate or tell you. And then they should provide information or talk to you in a way that you understand. The other thing is that they need to know how you communicate. Some of us don't use words very well or at all. Some of us prefer to write. We all have different ways that we like to communicate. And so the people that you are looking to for support should know how you communicate best and understand how you communicate best. Then those people also need to tell you, what do they know and not know? We all have kind of expertises in different parts of life. So I need to be open and honest with you that maybe I don't know anything about cars. And if you've got questions or need help with something related to transportation or a car, I'm probably not the best person to help you. So I need to help maybe find somebody that could be that good option. And then finally, it's important to make sure that the individual or you making the decision has the information you need in order to make an informed decision. So you need to know what your options are, what's the good and the bad of each option, what each option could mean for you in the long term. Or, sometimes options might conflict with what your personal values are. So you need to be able to know all that information before you make the decision for yourself. And that's kind of the important part of your supporter, to kind of help talk through those things with you. So now we've got supported decision-making agreements. Like I said, this is that formal document where you actually write out what kind of things or what areas of life you want help in, how you like to be helped or supported, and who is going to help you and support you. I had one parent tell me that supported decision-making agreements are the ultimate tool for empowerment, because you, the individual, are the one that is saying, this is what I want and who I want to help me. In Virginia, supported decision-making agreements are made up of the decision maker, the supporter, and then we have this third option of a facilitator. And we're going to talk about the roles of all three of these people. So the decision maker, this is the individual with an intellectual or developmental disability. You must be at least 18 years old or older. And you have to be able to legally make decisions on your own right now. So you can't have a legal guardian at this time and have a supported decision-making agreement. I will say, though, that there is precedent in Virginia and other states where people with legal guardians have used supported decision-making to get their rights restored, to show that they don't need a legal guardian because they have this natural supports in their life to help them in making those decisions. Now you've got a supporter. You can have multiple supporters. It doesn't just have to be one person. And these are the people that the decision maker asks to help them when it comes to making decisions. These people are documented on the supported decision-making agreement. It says what things they're going to help you with and how. And a supporter has to agree to be the one to help you. But this might be your family, your friends. Some people might ask teachers to be supporters, or sometimes you might have waiver providers, church members, anybody in your life that you feel like you trust and understands you, they can be your supporter. And then finally, we have this third option. That's your facilitator. You don't have to have a facilitator if you don't want one, but if you do, a facilitator is the person who is going to kind of oversee your agreement. And they're going to make sure that your supporters do what they say they're going to do in your agreement. They can also help you out if maybe you have some troubles and you're having a hard time talking with one of your supporters. The facilitator can kind of step in and help work on any problems with that relationship. So let's look at each one of these roles individually. So you've got the decision maker, that's you. So you ultimately make your own decisions. You also have this right to self-determination. So that's that taking risks and that dignity of risk that we talked about when it comes to making decisions. You're going to have this right to select who you want to be your supporter, when you want to receive help, and how you receive help. And then finally, you have the right to change or cancel or update your supported decision-making agreement at any time. Now, when we look at your supporters, again, supporters can be anybody that you trust. However, I will say you want to make sure as the decision maker, you're giving careful consideration and thinking through about who might be best in this supporting role. You might want to think about, what do these people actually know about me? Am I comfortable sharing certain information with them? And do they have the skills and information needed to help me in the ways that I need to be helped and want to be helped? So this supporter, any supporter, no matter who it is that you're asking, should do these things. They should be available to you to help in the ways that you've documented on your supported decision-making agreement. They need to understand that they don't make the decision for you. They're just there to make sure you have all of the information needed so that you can make the decision. They need to provide honest and fair information to you and understand that dignity of risk. They should not offer advice or help if you don't ask for it. Sometimes that can be hard to do, but if you as an individual has not specifically asked a supporter to help you when it comes to a certain decision, they shouldn't just be giving you their thoughts or their feelings about a situation unless you ask. They also shouldn't provide advice about things that either they don't know the information on, or that could be a conflict of interest. So like for me, I shouldn't give you any advice about cars because I don't know anything about them. But at the same time, maybe a waiver provider shouldn't be giving information to you about different living situations if it's somebody that you live with right now through the waiver, because it's maybe a conflict of interest for them. The other thing is when people or your supporters give you help, they need to take in consideration your feelings, needs, and things that you like. So what's important to you? That needs to be talked about when it comes to the support that they are giving you about a certain situation. They need to respect your privacy and the information you share. There are certain times that you might have to share some really sensitive or private information, and they need to make sure that they only keep that information to that conversation between you and them, and they aren't sharing that with other people unless it's a real safety concern. And then if you ask them to, they should be willing to help you with planning and getting other types of support and services that you need. And now we have this facilitator role. Again, this is an optional role. It's not something that you have to have, but some people might want the supporter. With a facilitator could be one of your supporters, or it could be a different person altogether. It's up to you. But the facilitator's role is to help schedule meetings with you and the other supporters. Again, to provide you with help and advice if you're having some difficulty with any of your supporters. They should be monitoring the supporters to make sure that they're being honest with you and helping you in the way that they said they would. And they should also be monitoring to make sure that none of your supporters are abusing, exploiting, manipulating, neglecting, providing undue influence, taking advantage of you. So now let's meet Sam. I'm going to give you some backstory on Sam so that it makes a little bit more sense when we're looking at his discovery tool tonight. So Sam is 18 years old. He has autism and uses words to communicate. He is in high school and has been learning job skills and about how to be a good employee while in school. Sam is considering graduating so he can work and focus on his dream of being an actor. He lives with his mother, father, and older sister who visits when she's home from college. Sam wants to live on his own in the nearby city after he graduates because he feels the city is where stars are made. Sam's parents are nervous about Sam living on his own and making his own decisions because they worry he will be taken advantage of by others. Sam has never had to budget his money or pay bills and believes that everyone he meets is his friend. Sam and his family decided to use a supported decision-making agreement to help Sam talk through decisions and the areas of life he needs more support. Sam is able to make decisions on his own and keep his rights and independence. Sam and his family understand the benefits of Sam's right to take risks and learn from them. So they understand this concept of dignity of risk. So this gets us to our first discovery tool that we will cover in this series. This is the "What kind of support do I want" tool. So with this tool, it is going to look at ways that you like people to help you and what does that look like. We have provided some ideas for you. This is a 3-page tool, and I'm actually going to be looking for some feedback from y'all if you can give that to me at the end of tonight's section, because we have added some information just to see if it helps with the tool a little bit more. So the first 2 pages are possible ways that people get help. And as we go through it, I will explain what each option is and how you can answer it. And then your third page is kind of a fill-in section, because we know we can't think of everything and cover every kind of way people will want help. So I give a fill-in section. This is the new part where you can say, here's other ways that I like to be supported or helped. And then it's also important to know things that you don't like or you don't find helpful. So we've given you a space to be able to let people know that as well. Let's see here. Heidi, should I put the printouts back, the documents back in the links?
You can.
Okay. Let me put that just in case some people did not get them. So we're going to look at Sam's discovery tool. I'm going to go through this, and I hope as I go through it, you all will go through and think about yours. You can fill it out now if you want to, take some notes on it, or just kind of think, you know, what would I do? What kind of support and help do I like? So if you have the Word document, you can, you know, write in anything you want. You can put a check mark. It's totally up to you. On the fillable PDF, you will see kind of 2 boxes for to the left of each type of support. The top box is going to give you the option to check, yes, I want help with this, or this is how I like to receive help. And then the one underneath it is going to give you the option to type in if there are specific things that we need to know about this type of support. So please go through your discovery tool of what kind of support do I want as I go through Sam's right now. So for Sam, he has checked the first type of support was having help filling out or writing on forms such as my supported decision-making agreement. Sam does like to have support with filling out forms. However, he wrote in here that really, I just like people to read the forms to me, but I'll fill them out on my own. So that might be something, or it might be something where you say, you know what, I can read the form and understand the form. I just might prefer, or it would be helpful if somebody wrote in the information or filled out the form for me. That's always an option. The second type of support that you might like is to have information written or spoken in simple words, or what we call plain language. Sometimes people like to have it written and spoken. Sometimes people just want people to speak it or write it. It's totally up to you. If that's helpful, you could put a check mark next to that type of support, or you can write in some more details if that's what you prefer. The next type of support is having information provided in pictures. Sometimes we get forms that are really complicated and have a lot of language that are hard to understand. So if you can have forms provided in pictures that might explain this like confusing language, you know, if that would be helpful to you, then you could check that, and supports people would know, hey, this is how this person likes to receive help. It's helpful if we do this instead of providing forms that are really wordy with lots of complicated information. So the next one is talking to your supporters to know what your choices are. Sometimes you might have a decision or a choice you need to make and you don't even know what your options are. Or sometimes there are times that I can only think of one or two options when really there's more. And talking through with people that I trust and who know me well can really help me think of all of the options and what they might mean. And for Sam, that's helpful for him. The next type of support is another one that Sam finds helpful, which is researching to learn more about your choices on your own or with the help of supporters. And for Sam specifically, he wrote in that he likes people to help him figure out where to start researching. So, what websites would I even start at to try to find this information? And then he can figure it out from there. He just sometimes needs that little bit of starting information. So if that's helpful for you, you can put a check there, or you can write in some more information. The next one is to talk to experts. So people who know a lot about your choices for that particular topic, about your options and choices. So this might be like talking to a doctor or talking to a lawyer or talking to your teacher that is in a particular subject if you've got questions about one subject. So if you find that helpful like Sam does, you would put a check there. And then the last support on this first page is to talk to your supporters to get advice. So this is just talking to the people that you trust and who know you best to get advice about, what, depending on your choices or decisions, what do they think would be a good option, and helping kind of discuss that through with you. And that's something that Sam finds helpful as well. So for page 2, starting at the top, the next type of support is to take extra time to think about your choices. That's not something that Sam needs. I will say, though, that's something I like. And, if this was my tool, I would have that one checked it. So sometimes we like to take that extra time. If you like extra time, maybe you would check mark this and write in how much time do you like to have to be able to think things through. Sometimes people only need 15 or 20 minutes, and sometimes people need days or weeks to think through something. So that would be helpful information for somebody who's helping you to know. The next one is to get help making a pros or cons list. So a list of the good sides and bad sides of your choices. For Sam, that's really helpful for him because when it's something he really likes, he tends to just think of all of the good things and not, he has a harder time thinking through of those cons or things that could be negatives to the choices that he has. The next thing that Sam likes when it comes to having help is having his supporters remind him about his values or what's the most important to him and how these might impact your choices. If this is a support that you like or a way that you like people to help you, then it's really important to make sure that the people that you go to for help know you very well. They know those things that are important to you, what you want in your life, what you don't want in your life. The next one is to help trying out different choices to see how you feel and which choice you like. Sometimes talking through choices or options isn't enough. Sometimes you might want to actually experience it and try it out, kind of like an internship. If you're looking at different potential jobs and saying, hey, maybe for a week or two, I could work here and see if it's something I like before saying, yes, this is a job I want to do for a long time. And Sam finds it helpful for that. So if that's something that you would find helpful, feel free to put a check mark there. The next possible type of support would be having help from your supporters with communicating your choices to others. Sam doesn't like this or want this type of support, but some people do. Sometimes, if you really care about something or are struggling with something, it can be hard to tell other people that. And it's helpful for people that know you well to help you with communicating to others. And that's okay. If that would be helpful for you or a support that you like, put your check mark there. And kind of going in line with that, the next one is to use technology. So maybe a phone or your computer or a tablet, something along those lines to help you communicate your choices to others, whether that's sending a text message or an email, or if you use some type of assistive technology to communicate, whatever that might be. If you find that that's helpful for you, then go on ahead and put your check mark there. The next type of support is one that Sam likes, which is to receive reminders about important dates and times. And for Sam specifically, he says that he wants to have reminders the week before and the day before of an important event. Sometimes people like having that reminder well in advance, or sometimes people just want to know right before it happens. Hey, don't forget, in an hour, you have a meeting. So if this is a helpful way for you to be helped, then maybe provide some more details about that. When do you want those reminders and how? I know I use reminders on my phone a lot, so it might be something, if that's how you prefer to get those reminders, then you could document that. The next one is to have a supporter come to meetings and appointments with you. Sam prefers to have that. That way he can kind of remember or have help remembering what's happened at his meetings, and have help with those follow through or next steps that sometimes happen in meetings. So if it would be helpful for you to have a supporter come to meetings, then you can check that box too. And the last one on this page is to take classes. So that can be either an online class or even some classes that are happening in person again to help learn more about your choices. So this might be something that, like, I'm really interested in a job at a bakery, but I'm not quite sure. So maybe I need to take a class to learn more about baking and to find out if that's something that I want to do. So that's going to be more about the helping about your choices, as well as one of those options of trying out different choices. Maybe you want to know more about your rights. So you might take one of Pete's classes and you would find out more about your rights and the choices that you have as you turn 18. So if that's something that you think would be helpful for you, whether you do that on your own Or if a supporter or somebody that knows you well helps you with setting up those classes, then you would check that box. So once you've answered those, that's going to take you to your third page. And this is where you have the opportunity to write in other ways that you like to be helped and you want people to know, and other ways that you do not like to be helped and it's important for people to know. So you can just freehand, you can write in on the Word document or on the PDF, you can type in. So for Sam, other ways that he likes to be supported is for people to tell him if something is going to change as soon as possible. So he likes to have a heads up on changes. He doesn't like things to take place or to change, plans to change right away, and him not know. And then ways that he does not want to be supported is that he doesn't want people to tell him that something isn't possible. Sam's a dreamer and he's got big goals. And people have kind of told him that, you know, maybe being that rock star movie star isn't going to happen. And for Sam, he doesn't find that helpful. He doesn't like it when people say that. So think about, there might be some things that you find people have done to try to help you that you have not found so helpful.